my millions in network marketing, I needed to copy someone who gave me the direction. And I became a very good copier. I became a very good actor to follow leadership. And this, I mean, we have here the old team, what is honest with us. You are warriors. You are part of the 300. You will change the world with us together. But we have also the newcomers, big leaders, big networkers who listen into this now because, interesting, 4 or 5 months, we don't give up because we believe in a product. We believe in a concept, what will change the world. And yes, this will be the journey where the product beats the compensation plan. Guys, hello, the product will beat the compensation plan. And we will be compliant because we will be a software company. But in order to have this, and this was in the last 4 or 5 months, not yet achieved,
one of the biggest,
by far not achieved as we have it right now. We need the right leader. We need the right person who will handle this, who will bring this ship to take off. And there is nobody else. I was very impressed by his career. We have the same age. We are 45 years old. And he has also 2 born girls. I have also 2 born girls. I adopted 1 boy. He adopted a few more. So we have many things in common. And where he's right now one of the top individuals in the world, he's maybe for me is the Mr. Solar Energy. He beats everything what has been done, what has been achieved in solar energy the last decade. And when I heard that this individual, this person, this gentleman, this leader is becoming our green president, not just this, maybe also the president of the entire baby, okay, let's call it this way. Guys, you know, when you feel suddenly 10 kilos lighter, you feel, wow, we are walking on clouds. So not too much from my side anymore. Pay attention to what we can learn now, pay attention to the vision and get adapted to high speed. Because this gentleman is not just the Mr. Solar, he's also the Mr. High Speed. Jonathan, my friend, the word to you, and we are ready to learn.
Aaron, thank you so much. Obviously, to know Aaron is to love him. We are very similar, but I need to get Aaron's biceps. I had a call with him this morning, really early. We got to see those biceps on full display. So he's motivating me to get back in shape here. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our friends around the world. A little bit of house cleaning. I see like Yaro and some other people recording. That's okay. We want to share information. We don't want to publish. The last call I did, we had like 10 YouTube videos published within an hour or two, which is great long term. The reason why I don't want to publish a lot yet is because we've got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of cleanup that we need to do. And we're going to have a lot of high quality content, video and documents that we can publish. Everything. Hey, Ron, see you there. I see a lot of faces that I'm getting to know. I see a lot of people that have been on calls already with me over the last week. I see Sean and Dimitri and a lot of other people that we've been talking. We're going to get to know each other really well over the next few years. And we got to be able to trust each other, right? You got to be, you're talking to, business owners that friends, family, people are investing money that they can't afford to lose. And we have to be able to trust each other. And I just need to be able to trust you as a community that we are not ready to publish things. Specifically, we haven't announced to the world yet that I'm the president of Green. Like I have a strategy for that. Like articles like in Forbes and Business Week and things like that, they don't want to run the articles if the information is already out there. So if you guys are publishing content to your personal website pages and YouTube and you're announcing me to the world as the president of Green, they don't want to make that announcement in Forbes, and we can get them to make that announcement in Forbes, which will ultimately help you and your teams, documenting not just me, but the other team members that I want to bring on board. And so I know you've been waiting a long time. what we want to do is we want to give you access to me and my team. We'll do some more calls where I'll introduce you to some of the people we're bringing on. We've got basically like a pre-launch here between now and July 4th. On July 4th will be like an official soft launch, where we will be publishing a lot of documents to the community that the community has been waiting for. Obviously, the same documents you need are the same documents that all the exchanges need, right? Everybody's need, and there's a reason why a lot of this hasn't been shared. We had to wait for Switch. Switch is the first project of its kind. It's taken 18 months to complete. It took I'm sure everybody knows the founder of Discover Card, Kathy, is involved with, she's our brand president of Switch. She is one of a group of individuals credited with inventing the whole concept of rewards from credit cards, which is really what we're doing here on the blockchain. And that project took a long time to have a self-custody, right? The thing that's so amazing about Switch is that it's basically like a physical and virtual wallet where you have the custody. So it's one of the first blockchain banks around the world and exchanges where the users actually are in control of their passkeys, and they have self-custody. Like Coinbase, we don't own our passkeys. And so if you're on Twitter, like one of the big expressions on Twitter is not your keys, not your crypto. And that's true. And what a lot of us believe that have been in blockchain for a long time is that there's potentially a lot of projects that will be shut down in certain countries over the next few years. There's a lot of exchanges that might be shut down. And so like people being able to have and store their crypto in a way that's easy to use and access, and they control their passkeys, this is really important. Some people like Coinbase or Binance because they don't have to memorize their passkeys. And while that's easy and convenient, it's not safe. It's not in control. And obviously, if we're successful, and some of you have tens of millions of green, I've been meeting people over the last week that have 100 million green. What happens when that's $100 million at some point in time in the future? You're not going to want to give that control over to another entity. And so we want to teach people in this community how to responsibly hold and manage their crypto. And in order to do that, the founders of the community had to create resources that could enable the community to do that. And one of them is the Switch credit card. This is my 4th week at Green, and like in the role, I've been working in the ecosystem and doing due diligence for about 2 months. And the more I learn about where everything is, we had a great development meeting yesterday with about 25 of the development team leads that represent about 115 full stack developers. These are some of the most talented people. If you're on LinkedIn, I think that yesterday was really meaningful. Travis Cook, the CEO of Nerds United, officially told the world what he's doing. You see, when beginners start a new job, they tell everybody right away, right, on social media, hey, I started a new job, right? When people like Travis, who've been retired for years, who are very well accomplished in the development space, when accomplished people start things, they don't want to tell anybody what they're doing until it's ready, right? Like they don't want to tell people early what they're doing. They don't want to promise things that they can't deliver on. So like when you're working with a really experienced development team, you might be a little frustrated early, but it's because we know how to do this and we don't want to tell people the wrong things too early. We want to make announcements once we accomplish things. We don't want to announce things just because as promises, right? And so if you're on LinkedIn, I encourage you to follow Travis Cook. The announcement that he made yesterday is very significant. So he is a very well-respected developer who has managed a team of over 1,000 developers before. He's very successful. He was retired. in his late 40s. Wright got him out of retirement, and he just announced to the entire world on LinkedIn that he is the CEO of Nerds United, and he announced not what he is going to do, but what he has accomplished over the last 90 days. So I believe that Travis was ready to make that announcement based on all the work that we have done together over the last 3 weeks. And a lot of that work culminated yesterday when we had, this is kind of a boring announcement, but just so you know, we're making progress. We had every major stakeholder on the development teams for Nerds and Green and Connect and what we call core development, which is the core code that everybody's using, and Switch. And we have an organized plan and a launch plan that will deliver a minimum viable product, a working product, by July 4th that we're scoping out together, and we're going to sprint as fast as we can towards that date. I'm not ready to release what that product is going to be yet and what those deliverables are going to be, because when I announce them, they're going to be working. I don't want to announce promises of what we are going to do one day. When we make announcements, we want to announce things that are working today. And that's going to separate us from a lot of groups in blockchain. I started, investing in blockchain projects in 2016 and 17, and it was all promises, right? Everybody was just promising to do things. Now, there are some teams like ADA or, Brave or BAT that have started to deliver now on the promises that they made 5 years ago. But there's a lot of blockchain projects that are not delivering on what they're promising. And ultimately, that's the reason why a lot of them are going to go to zero. If you get on Coinbase market cap, there's 10,000 projects on there. And, the world only needs like maybe 100 or 200 projects. So let's just think about what's happening in the world right now, right? Like Elon Musk started talking about, should I build a social media platform that has free speech? Everybody said, yes, build it. But he doesn't have the time to spend 10 years to build that platform. He has the money to buy the biggest platform in the world. And so first he bought 9% of Twitter. And if you're watching the news today, he just made an offer to buy all of Twitter, right? And so the same person that owned, Solar City and Tesla and Twitter, right? And this is what's happening around the world. This is happening in China. This is happening in India. This is happening in Europe. What's happening is the big companies are getting bigger, and we're moving into a phase of business where we're going to have, basically like 500 or 1,000 companies around the world that are really, the majority of all the revenue and services that we all get, right? If you look at what happened with Uber, it's also happened with McDonald's. Uber went from a transportation company, and when they started delivering food, they eclipsed DoorDash overnight. Why? Because they have more drivers, right? So more connect points, right? More points of connection, which is what we're trying to do here with Connect and this team. The more connection points you have, the more advantage you have around the world. Over the last 25 years, when McDonald's sold a Garth Brooks CD, they outsold Tower Records when they were still record companies, right? Because they had more distribution points than Tower Records. When McDonald's added the same year, which was about 10 years ago now, when McDonald's added gourmet coffee, Starbucks had to close 600 locations. That's the impact of having a lot of connect points. That's the impact that these big companies have. During COVID in the United States, 1/3 of the American businesses went out of business, and Amazon doubled in size. Right, so 1/3 of the hardworking, families that started their own business and went out of business, and Amazon doubled in size. and Walmart became more profitable, right? And this is the stage of economies that we're in, where these big companies have a lot of big advantages. And so I think the same thing is going to be true with blockchain. There's tens of thousands of projects out there. The world is only going to need 200 or 300. And so what I want to tell everybody is, so just please slow down in publishing content. Let's not be like all the other blockchain projects. Let's not just get really excited and just push out excitement, right? Because when you're pushing out excitement, you get this, but then you get this, right? You get the pump, but then you get the dump, right? Like you know, and we don't want to do that, right? We're trying to build something that really is a long-term project. We're trying to build it in a real organic, decentralized way. And I think we have a really good chance of succeeding. Now, those of you that bought a node for $1,000 3 years ago, that was way riskier than buying a node today for $5,700. Even though it was cheaper, the likelihood that it would fail was far greater. And the likelihood, and everybody needs to know this, the likelihood, the odds that we will fail are bigger than the odds that we will succeed. Like, we're supposed to fail. We're not supposed to win. But I believe that the team that is being assembled and the people that are backing us and the community that we have around the world can win. It's going to be hard. It's going to take a lot of time. It's not going to be smooth and perfect. There's going to be ups and downs, right? Because we're trying to build something that's real, that has never been done before. But I believe we can do it, or why would I be here, right? I didn't sign up to lose. I don't have to work anymore. I'm doing this because for me, when I started making what was a lot of money for me, was like $5 to $10 million a year. I started making that 17 years ago. And, you know, based on how I grew up and my beliefs, you know, I was in a 38% tax bracket, and I didn't feel good about giving a government more money than I was giving my belief system, my God. And so I wanted to give my church more money than I was giving my government. That was my value system. And so I started looking for projects that I could invest in and donate to. And I was living in Washington at the time, in Olympia, Washington, and 30 miles from our headquarters in Olympia, Washington, is the worldwide headquarters of World Vision. And if you've ever seen, you can adopt a child for $1 a day, you can buy a farm for somebody, and the project that I got excited about, I got invited to a meeting with a bunch of high net worth individuals. There were a lot of Microsoft executives, Starbucks executives, things like this. And, I was like 30 years old, and I was the poorest person in the room, and I thought I was doing really good for myself. And they started going through, statistics of all the countries in the world and who doesn't have access to electricity and running water. And they highlighted this country, Zambia, and their entire budget to bring clean water through bore wells, not through electricity, but just through hand pumped wells, was $6 million. For the lack of $6 million, this entire, millions of people in this country had no water. And I remember getting so angry, how could we as a world, how is it possible that the difference between all these families having water or not having water was only $6 million? Now, it wasn't going to be water like we have, at our faucets running, but it was going to be a place. And because they didn't have water, the daughters in these villages couldn't go to school because their responsibility was to fetch and clean and sterilize, cook the water all day long. And so the boys got to go to school and the girls didn't get to go to school. Now, at the time, I had just had 2 daughters, and Summer Joy and Ciara Grace are the name of my 2 daughters. And One day I was by the refrigerator and Summer came up to me and asked me for a glass of water. And I just started crying. And I was like, there are millions and millions of parents around the world, when their kids ask them for water, they can't give it to them. And like how like powerless they must feel to provide something so basic to the person that they're most responsible for. And so I'm doing this because I see a real possibility to literally bring electricity into places of the world that don't have it. The first thing you do when you have electricity in a village is you can create running water. Without running water, the infant mortality rate is like so much higher. And a huge percentage of the kids, by the time they're 4 or 5 years old, are blind or partially blind because they didn't have clean water to like wash their hands and face. Okay, and the daughters don't get to go to school. That's why I'm doing this. The same things that bring electricity into those communities are going to lower the cost of power by everybody else in the world. And so I've been asked, I know that some of you have seen this already. If we're not, you can connect with me on Facebook. Dimitri, you could publish my Facebook account. Like I know he's connected with me. Ron has it. Ron could publish it in the chat for everybody. I know he's connected with me. So if you want to start sharing things, realize that I'm going to be responsible. Like we're going to be so disruptive that like every regulator in the world is probably going to call me into their office and I'm going to have to answer for everything I say and everything you post that I say. Okay. Like I'm going to be accountable for everything. If you edit a video and you make it sound like I say something I didn't say, I'm going to have to answer questions for that. Now I want you to share the video because I want more connections, right? I'm just not ready yet. Just like McDonald's has a lot of connections, right? Like we have a lot of connections here, and we are standing up a website, and this website will be done before July 4th, where you can submit a press release or a video or content. Ron, can you publish it where it's for everybody? Or maybe here, I'll just publish it. So it's for everybody. I'll just do it. Thank you so much for helping. No, that was super helpful because I've got all these windows open. I'll just republish what you post. Thank you, Ron. I really appreciate your help. So you'll be able to upload your videos to a website that another blockchain company is monitoring, Liberty Blockchain, our legal blockchain, and they will approve it. And then you can publish it and share it. And this way, we can not just share information about the opportunity, we can protect the opportunity. And we won't ever be able to stop other people from sharing random things that they want to share, right? Like people are going to share whatever they want. But we can at least create some information that has been approved and documented, as in this is what the community is approving. Not me, I don't want to approve it. I want to say the community approves that this is the accurate information on this project, right? Just like when you follow someone on Twitter, they have a blue check mark. This is that Twitter has verified this is the real Elon Musk, right? So we're going to create a system where we can say this is the real information on this project. This is the true information on this project. And we want to do that because we know that there's a lot of fake projects out there. And the regulators of many, many countries are doing a good thing by protecting it. You know, they might overreach and they might hurt some good projects as well, but that's what happens in government. That's kind of why we need a new government system long term, right? But until we have a new government system, we all have to recognize that in order for green to be successful, we want to be compliant. We want to be compliant in all the areas, not just some of the areas. We don't want to be clever and get away with what we think we can get away with. We want to be smart. We want to be diligent. We want to publish the things that we have accomplished, not what we hope to accomplish. And we want to make sure the information is accurate and reliable. And I really believe that we can come up with a whole process like this on or before July 4th, where we can start sharing information publicly that's approved, that's accurate, and that we can really be proud of, knowing that people are getting the right information on a real project. So I want to share something that this is what I'm talking about in this project right now. So this is on my Facebook. You can connect on my Facebook, and this is real and personal for me because I actually did this. So I actually understand long distance because I actually sold long distance. Here, let me do this for fun. So we'll just a lot of people don't realize that phone systems, like in the United States and around the world, they were built along the railroads. So Sprint, the young kids know Sprint as a cell phone company. Sprint was a physical infrastructure company, and Sprint stands for the Southern Pacific Railroad Internal Networking Telephony. How many people learned something just now? This is what Sprint, right? An international cell phone company. This is what they started. They started building physical lines along the railroads because the sound waves, first it was the telegraph in the form of Morse code, and then it was our sound waves had to travel on a physical line. And so phone service around the world had to travel on a physical line. And the sound wave took up a lot of room on the physical line, and it was really expensive to travel. In order for us in America, let's say London, they had to put a line under the ocean. There are huge pipes in the ocean that sound waves were traveling on. And in 25 years ago, the average person, depending on where they lived in the world, had a $100 to $200 phone bill, which was mostly long distance. Okay, and that long distance service was limited by a physical phone line. Sound waves were trapped on a wire. What happened when I was 20, and here's the thing. This is why I got started in network marketing. So I was 23 years old, and I signed up in a company in a person's house. I went to a home meeting, and someone had a whiteboard, and I had never heard of network marketing before, even though I found out afterwards that my mom had been in one in Australia, and the company she built was a network marketing company in Australia. So like network marketing was in my DNA, and I didn't even know it. She built a company called Alpha Foods in Australia, which was powdered milk like 35 years ago, and was really successful. And I got started, and the idea behind ACN is that you saved people money on their long distance service. The reason why I went to Australia, was because the average phone bill in Australia was over $200. And so if I was signing up 100,000 accounts with 10,000 reps in America, I'd make like a third of what I would make in Australia. And I moved to Australia in like 2006 to launch ACN in Australia. And I did like $300 million in billing in a couple months because people were spending a lot of money on long distance. Telstra was the monopoly, and long distance was so expensive that they were both paying for it. So if you were in Sydney and you called somebody in Brisbane, both people were paying for long distance. It was crazy. It was a monopoly, and everybody's bills were really, really expensive. How much do people pay for long distance today? Yeah, like $0. This is really important that we understand this and we can communicate this, because this idea, when you communicate this, this will explode people's minds. This is real. So how we freed sound waves from a wire is we converted it into data. By converting the sound into ones and zeros, those data packets could fit on the wire much faster. They could move faster and they could stuff more data on those wires than sound waves. And so virtually overnight, over a couple years, long distance came down every single year in price. And now that we have more data, it's free. And we aren't limited to using wires anymore. We can use satellite. We can use cellular networks. Like the data literally can move. It's like the multiverse, right? If you've ever seen the movie Wreck-It Ralph or Ready Player One, instead of moving back and forth into video games, you're moving back and forth through distribution channels. It can move from a hard wire to a satellite network, to a cellular network, to an internet connection. And so if there's one channel that's congested, the packet can just be rerouted and everybody can send data around the world for virtually free. Now, if you had told somebody 25 years ago that they could in New York, that they could call Hong Kong for free and send their voice for free to Hong Kong, and in fact actually see a video in the size of their hand and there was no wires, they would think you were talking about the Jetsons, right? When the Jetsons would do voice calling and face calling, that idea was so futuristic, it only existed in sci-fi and cartoons. Like, think about that. And yet it happens every day and we don't even think about it. It's like our kids don't even know what a home phone is. Sound waves were trapped on a wire. Because they were trapped on the wire, people paid $100 to $200 for moving sound around on that wire. Okay. This is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. Right? Both technologies are the same. Electricity was born just a little while after the telephone. They were basically created during the same period of time. They're both 100 years old. They're both trapped on the wire. They were both expensive to move around. Okay? This is literally what this project is going to do. Through the process of mining green, through that software application, through a node, through the technology that is inside of a green node. And even by mining Bitcoin does this too. It's that all of us can't mine Bitcoin. You need hundreds of millions of dollars to play that game today, right? We can take electricity that has a cosine. Electricity is just like sound. It has a cosine wave. It has a wave to it. Electricity travels in a wave of energy, just like sound wave travels in a wave of energy. And that wave right now is restricted to a physical line. But when we can convert that into data, our data is a green coin. The green coin is data. It's data that used electricity to create it. We can send that data anywhere else in the world, and we can convert it back to power by paying our power bill, paying somebody else's power bill, or if one of the things I'm looking at, and please don't tell people Jonathan's going to do this, right? So if we're leaders and we can establish trust, if you edit the video, it's going to sound like I'm saying we're going to do this. One of the things we're looking at doing is if I created a retail energy desk, you could literally mine Bitcoin or green, text it to somebody else in the world, and buy electricity off the grid, retail energy desk. This is how Amazon buys their power. So being in the power business, I have met with the person who buys all of the electricity for Amazon. I have met with him in person and I understand how he does it. He doesn't just pay his power bill. He pays the power company a small service fee to use their lines. And then he buys electricity off the stock market as a reduced price, and he just moves it around the grid to Amazon factories, and he saves 50 to 70% against retail. So big companies are already doing this. It's just no one has figured out how to let the average person do this. We have figured out how to let the average person do this. And by freeing the power this way and moving it all over the world this way, I believe we can do the same thing to the electricity bill that we did to the long distance bill. The average long distance bill was $100 to $200 a month around the world. Okay, it was trapped on a wire. We freed it from the wire, converting it to data. It's now free. The average electricity bill is $100. The electricity is trapped on a wire. Those wires are expiring all over the world. Like, there's a lot of problems with infrastructure. Through our business plan that we feel like we can release this year in stages and grow our business plan over the next few years, we believe that we can help the world reduce their power costs by 80 to 90% and just include it in their data costs. Now, if this was 10 years ago or 20 years ago, there might be resistance. Oh, there's fresh orange juice for you in there. Yeah, take one in the front. It's fresh. I just made it an hour ago. Love you. The whole world is standing up and saying, like, just Google it. Italy wants to be 100% renewable by 2050, right? States in the United States are saying, like Oregon saying, we want to be 100% renewable by 2040. So the whole world has an initiative to replace their dirty power systems that are using coal or natural gas or oil, to use those substances and convert them into electricity. Everybody is saying, hey, you know, it's actually cheaper today. It's cheaper today. I could play a video that shows it for you. It's cheaper today to use solar than it is to use natural gas or coal. It's cheaper. So even if you don't care about the planet, which we should all care about the planet, but even if you don't, if all you care about is your pocketbook, why are you building a power plant that is using coal? It's more expensive. So let's just forget that it's better for the planet. It's actually cheaper, which is better for everybody. So I believe we can show these countries a way to build solar and do it in a way without building a lot of infrastructure, by combining solar power and mining and showing them a smarter way to do it. Now, this isn't going to happen in 1 month. This isn't going to happen in July 4th, right? This is going to be a project that's going to take us 5 to 8 years to accomplish around the world in a meaningful way. But we're going to roll it out in stages that can let the most people participate in the simplest way possible in stages. The first stage is buying nodes and installing them, so we have the most points of connection, like all over the world. We want the most data points. I believe that before the end of the year, if we do a good job of this, we can have more active nodes than Ethereum. We're pretty close to that right now, actually. Right? So that's going to, like, we're decentralized. That's important. Why is that important? Because when Bitcoin first got started, you could download the software onto your computer and everybody could play. And so there were so many active nodes running all around the world because the average person can do it. Now, Bitcoin mining is actually being centralized because it's huge warehouses that need huge amounts of power. And there's only they put them all together to gain efficiencies. And there are less locations mining Bitcoin today than there was a year ago, and there was less a year ago than there was 5 years ago. And so Bitcoin is actually centralizing. So it's a decentralized project that's actually centralizing because of the cost of mining Bitcoin and the competition. It's so competitive that you can't compete as a little guy anymore. And so we believe a big value to the community and to this project is we need a lot of decentralization. That's why we have a $25 node, so that anybody can download that node, and that node is not going to go up in price. Now, it has less value, but it lets people participate, right? It lets us have millions of active nodes that are validating the transactions on the network, that lets us release NFTs and value to the community, and it lets the average person participate. It's really important that we have a lot of points of distribution. Now, I know there's a lot of companies that are selling nodes, and maybe they don't have the right product, or maybe they don't even have the intention of ever building the right product. And I can't speak for them because this is the only project I care about, right? We need to, and we are. And here's the thing. I don't need you guys to sell any nodes. If you don't believe in the project yet, or you feel it's too risky, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't buy nodes or sell nodes. I got tons of people around the world that are excited about selling green nodes, and we're selling nodes every day, and we're really happy with our pace, right? And I don't want us to push people into it or talk people into it, because the reality is it's very, very risky, right? We're still really early. We have to accomplish a lot of milestones still before this is a really, really solid project that has a lot less risk. One of those things is we're not even on exchanges yet, right? So there's a risk in buying coins or nodes for projects that are not on exchanges yet. So I'm spending a tremendous amount of money. I'm investing high 7 to low 8 figures on nodes because I have extra money and I believe in this project. I'm also an accredited investor, and I know how to assess risk. I think it's really risky, but I like the reward element. Personally, I like the idea of getting involved in this project before it gets listed on exchanges, because I interpret that as opportunity for me, an opportunity for people like friends and family. While this is not a statement that applies to every blockchain project, typically when a good project is released on bigger exchanges, it gives more information to the world about it, and it gets more adoption. And so the more people that adopt and use a coin, it typically has a favorable result on the price of the coin, which has kind of a snowball effect to more adoption, better price, more adoption, better price. So that's obviously a function of what we're trying to accomplish here. But if you have friends or family or yourself and you're saying, well, I'd like to buy another green node, Jonathan, but not much has been done in the project in the last few years, I agree, you should wait. I also want to tell you that we have some DAOs that are looking to get a lot of exposure into this project. And so if you or someone is unhappy with their nodes and their green because they feel like they've just locked up their money for 3 years, they haven't got anything from it. If they want to sell some of their nodes or some of their green for more than what it's selling for right now on Uniswap, we have some people that want to buy them. And so what I want to do is let people know, hey, if you're unhappy in this project for any reason, and you want to sell something, so maybe you spent $10,000 on nodes, 3 years ago, and you haven't been able to do anything with it. Maybe you want to sell some of them, and maybe you can sell some of your green and make $20,000 or $25,000, and now you don't have a cost basis in your investment, and now you're more comfortable. And now, if that helps you to be more patient and follow some of the rules and guidelines of the community we're going to put out, because now you've gotten your money back, and you look at it less risky, let's do that. So I'm really interested. If anybody would like to de-risk, this is a strategy of all venture capitalists, all early investors. So I want to let you know that you've been investing in something so early has a lot of risk. So when an investor invests in an early stage Facebook, when the new investors come in, they will sell some of their investment to the new investors to de-risk, right? So that they get some of their money back or all their money back, and now they can wait patiently. Like investors in YouTube, in Uber, they had to wait 12 years for Uber to go public, right? There was no way for them to get their money back until the company went public and things like that. And so, when you invest in something in an early stage, 3 years, 4 years is actually not a long time. But there are some DAOs that are going to create liquidity. So if people want to sell some of their green or some of their nodes so that they can de-risk and not be as anxious, we want to do that. right? Because we have a long-term plan here. And I don't want people to be uncomfortable. I definitely don't want people to be negative. I don't want people to feel like all their money's at risk. We want people to be able to support this community in the right pace, in the right timing, so that we can do it right and not just be rushed to do unnatural things that may increase the price for a short period of time to make certain people happy. We want to build something right. We want to build something good, that's sustainable, that a large community around the world can adopt and use, not just make money on. Obviously, lots of people have made money on crypto, but we want to create something that creates value for our community when they use the coin. I've got a couple. Maybe I can just take questions, because a lot of these people have been on some calls, Aaron, recently, so they know some of these things I'm saying. Maybe I can just take some questions, and that would help, because this is a leadership group, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
okay, let's give five questions a chance, that we don't have too much of Jonathan's time. I'm always happy when I know Jonathan is going back to work, because things get done. But it's also important to hear if there is some good questions, guys. Some of you are really skilled. Also, you can also ask something complicated, maybe when it comes to blockchain, or this reverse staking is something what maybe we could explain in 2 sentences. What is reverse staking? The opposite is the staking, what is well known. But I personally see in the staking something like the interest of the interest, what the fiat money had. Okay, give me your money, I freeze it, and in 10 years I release it, and I pay you more of whatever I have now. But what if it doesn't perform, right?
Okay. So I will talk about reverse staking as a concept. And so for those that are videoing things, if you want to share this privately inside your community, please share it responsibly, where you don't edit it to where it makes it like we're just promising something, right? So let's share the whole piece of this clip so they can understand the disclaimers and things like that, and we can just share responsibly, right? So proof of work. So what happens on a blockchain is this: sender, receiver, this amount. Okay, so proof of work is a chronological ledger that keeps track of every transaction on the network in the order that it happened, and stores it in a giant data file that's getting bigger with every transaction, right? And so what is a transaction? It's when you move crypto from one wallet to another wallet. That's a transaction. And to validate truth, you're validating sender, receiver, this amount. That's it. So staking is let's say you put 100 coins in a gateway. When a coin comes in and Aaron wants to transfer 1 coin to Dimitri, and I'm staking 1,000 coins, I get Aaron's 1 coin in my gateway, and then I push one of my coins out to Dimitri, and I verify sender, receiver, this amount. Okay, so proof of work and proof of stake. You need to be able to verify those 3 data points in order to create consensus, which is ultimate truth, right? A ledger for accounting is only useful if it's true. The unique value proposition of proof of action, okay, is that when paying your power bill, we can verify the sender, right? The sender, the receiver, and the exact amount, right? Because there's a specific bill. Now, if we get reoccurring transactions from the same sender and the same receiver, even if the amount changes, if I'm getting reoccurring transactions every month, I don't have to store all the data from previous months, because I have new truth that can be confirmed every month. So I don't have to store all the data over and over for the last 13 years. And so I can be really efficient. I also don't have to have people stake money in gateways, lots and lots of money, to verify the transactions, because I'm verifying their transaction through a structured bill pay system. Sender, receiver, that amount, the proof, and I can prove that that action takes place because the receiver is going to consider the bill paid. So while proof of stake is much more efficient than proof of work, proof of action is even more efficient because it lets more people participate without staking a whole bunch of coins in the gateway. Now, I'm going to show you something that is a hypothetical right now. This is not necessarily what we're publishing. So I have not published this. This is not for the community, right? Like, this is a hypothetical on how this could potentially work. So if you share this, please do not share this publicly. You can share it privately. And we need to make sure that we're sharing a disclaimer that says, oh, where's the, here, I'm looking for the whiteboard. So let's just, I'll just open up the Word doc. All right, so right now, I think on Ethereum, I think I'm just going to use round numbers, right? I think it's about $9,700, excuse me, 9,700 coins. And I think your yearly reward it's like 560-ish. So these are estimates of staking Ethereum, okay? For less than $250 a month. Okay, so one person, right? You could, like, one person, one bill to pay their power for this, for the sole function of paying their power bill. Okay, so let's say right now that it takes, I don't know, 7,000 green to pay your power bill. Okay, this would be with the Switch credit card. Once the Switch credit card is live, and this could take a couple more months for it to finish, right? Instead of giving somebody an incentive every single month to use a crypto wallet that's really hard to use, and then they get bored of that incentive and they stop, with the Switch credit card, we can send green from the node to Switch to power company. And our goal is to do this automatically. And this is not happening yet. Okay, it's really important. I'm going to just write it down in case this is not happening. Okay, this is not happening yet. Okay, this is the promise that I don't want to announce until it's done. So I don't want to go to the world and say, this is what we're going to do. I want to wait until we can do it. And then I don't want you guys to share this publicly and stuff. I only want you to share this with your teams privately. And because when we announce this to the world, I want to say, you can do this today. Not, we promise you can do this one day. You can do this today. And we can't do this yet today. But let's say this happens. So by staking, reverse staking would mean you put 7,000 green on the Switch credit card and you use it to pay your power bill. And then the battery that has 25 billion green in it today can send you back a reward for reverse staking. Now, what I would like to try to do, what we want to do, is to send back 7,300 green. Now, this is a big problem. You can say, okay, well, Jonathan, you're starting with 25 billion green. How can you do this? Sooner or later, you're going to run. If we get millions of people doing this every month, you're going to run out of green. That's true. However, through transaction fees on the network, once we move off of the Ethereum network, and through some other business strategies that I'm not ready to share it yet, but by creating revenue through building through a decentralized effort of multiple people in multiple countries, we feel like we have a strategy where we can refill the battery. So now my problem becomes, just like Uber or Airbnb, the more people that are on Uber's network, they need more drivers. The more users that are on our reverse staking power pay, the more effort I need to refill the battery. So what I'm working on right now is a business plan that can help me scale the refilling of the battery in alignment with the addition of users. Right? So if we can figure out as a business team how to refill the battery in a way that can also scale to users, we have a value system that doesn't run out. Now, a function of that might be after a year or two, maybe we lower the reward, right? After adoption, maybe we lower the reward. Maybe we can continue that reward based on scale. We're working that out right now. I feel very confident that my strategy can refill the battery indefinitely because the entire world is trying to go to renewable. If the entire world was not trying to go to renewable energy right now, I would not have confidence that I could indefinitely refill the battery. But because so many people are trying to build solar systems and wind systems and water power plants, if a fraction of the systems that we can get other people around the world to build can contribute to the refilling of the battery, and I believe that we have an incentive that can help them do that, I believe that this idea that seems impossible, we can deliver on over the next few years. Now, I don't want to publish how we're going to do that yet, because again, I really want to encourage everybody to read Blitzscaling, because it talks about how to win a brand globally. And the thing is if people knew how we were going to do this, they would start copying it right away. And so when we publish it, I want to publish it in a way and time it up with a really big launch where as soon as we publish it, we're sort of in a do or die race. So I know you want me to publish it and I know you want the information, but as soon as I publish it, I'm sort of in a do or die race where I got to execute on this plan faster than anybody else on the world can execute on this plan. And so it's really risky. There might be a scenario in which we become a small blockchain project and, we have, a few million users and everybody gets a little value. But personally, I think we're going to win the whole thing or lose the whole thing. And so it's risky. I think it's really risky. But it's a risk that I'm willing to take because of what the benefits could be to the whole world. Hypothetically, if we can pull this off, it means you could use a platform like Kiva. Kiva won the Nobel Peace Prize for microloans, $5 to $50 loans. Hypothetically, you could loan someone around in any country enough money to pay their power bill 1 month, and they could pay their power bill for years and years and years and years. Hypothetically. And there's a lot of big problems to solve inside of this mission. Just like there was a lot of big problems to solve to eradicate $100 to $200 long distance bill. And once people figured out the technology and the math to do it, it took about 10 years to execute on it. Now, the way that technology adoption happens is technology advances twice as fast every few years. And so I don't think this is going to take as long to at least stand up something that works. And at some point, we might even have to limit users for a period of time while we catch up and deploy more things faster, which means we'd create a wait list, which is just like Tesla. One of the biggest and most valuable companies in the world created a product that everybody wants and people pay for it now. And then they wait 2-3 years to get their car or their truck. And so waiting is a function of value and technology, especially when that technology has never been available for at scale, right? So Tesla is putting something into the market that had never been available before to tens of millions of people. And what seemed impossible, and listen, Tesla almost went out of business. I stood on a stage in 2015 and in front of everybody and predicted that Solar City was going to go out of business. And I said, you know, and if this doesn't change, Ford or Volvo might end up buying Tesla. If you go back and look at 2015, Elon Musk had to put up $4 billion of his personal stock to borrow money because Tesla was losing so much money and no one else would loan him money anymore. And he had to finance it through bonds guaranteed by his stock. And it was huge risk. And now that stock is worth many, many times more because he, even in spite of risk, he won. But that's where we are. We are in that stage where Elon was. And Elon Musk could have lost his entire company in 2015 or 16 with the right margin call on his loans, right? He bet it all, so to speak, on his vision and his heart and what he wanted to do. And then he just went to work and got it done. And green is not nearly on track to be as valuable as Tesla. And that's not the message that I'm sending. But if we can start delivering on the smaller parts of our business plan, right? Those building blocks, like building a house with bricks, will let us release bigger and bigger products and bigger value. And we'll know in a few years if we can do this or not. But a lot of us really believe we can right now. And we're prepared to die trying. And that's where we're at. And so when you're talking to people, please explain how risky this is. And please explain the downside with the upside. Because it's easy to see what the upside is. If you buy a coin before it gets listed and it works, yeah, okay, you know, it goes up many, many times and it goes down a few times. But, you know, we don't want this project is so important and could be so important to humanity. We don't want to take shortcuts and we don't want to say the wrong thing. We'll go slower if we have to. You know, I'll start over. I'll shut the whole thing down tomorrow and start over from scratch. If that's what I have, if a regulator comes in and says that, that's what I'll do. And I'm not going to quit until we run out of money or we do this thing. And so, but we want to be smart, not clever. There's a lot of clever people in this space. And we want to, and in order to do that, we got to trust each other. And we got to trust each other that the truth is good enough. And we got to trust that we don't need to convince people to buy nodes that aren't ready or uncomfortable. We don't need to say false things. We don't need to make false promises. In fact, I believe that if we tell people the real risks, that will become a filter for who our right partners are, right? And it will filter out the right partners for the wrong partners. And the people that want to hear get rich quick and they want to hear this is easy and they want, like, we don't want those people, right? Because they're going to ruin this opportunity for all of us if we let them in, right? And I need you guys and ladies and gentlemen, I need you to police your organizations because this is blockchain. You're my marketing team. You're my sales team. You are my partners. I can't do this without you. But we need to be in alignment with what we say and what we do. And we need to agree that we're going to all do this the right way. And when you see, this is community. When you see people doing the wrong thing, we need to stop them. The community needs to have accountability. One person with all the money and resources in the world can't enforce the right words in blockchain. It's too big. It's too decentralized. As a community, we need to kick people out of Discords, and we need to kick people out of our salespeople, and we need to block users that are using the information the wrong way and that aren't agreeing to the standards that our community wants to enforce. And I need you to start creating those standards. And I need you to start creating those systems, right? In your channels, in your discords, in your messaging. And you start enforcing that for me so that we can build not just a strong community, but we can build a truthful community. We can build an accurate community. That's what we need to build. And that's what's going to make us different than all the other projects out
there. Well, brilliant. Jonathan, I think I speak in the name of all the legitimate and true warriors here in our sales team that we are definitely on the right, under the right management, under the right vision, with all the knowledge and all the expertise. And I really can't wait to see this business plan, or I mean the easier form of the business plan, when this will be launched, guys. This is value in gold, because there is a long-term vision. We all could follow now in this 1 hour, all the different topics Mr. Jonathan was touching here. I mean, you need to know something of the topic, of the economy in general, of history, in order to give this lesson here. I'm sure that all these projects, what we have online, a few will only make it. And I am more sure than ever before that we are here in the prime location of everything. Jonathan, I'm really, really flattered and happy to have this positive change. And all our 4 or 5 months warriors, you already paid it. You are here for the long run. And those who come now new, you come at the right moment. We are in the pre-launch, let's say it this way, in a phase of a pre-launch, Jonathan, right?
Yeah, we're really in a pre-launch phase. Guys, there's so many systems. So the product is good. The product works. The technology behind green is so good. What's missing right now is scalable infrastructure that can help you track all your action points of buying nodes, selling nodes, helping other people. Like some of the infrastructure pieces aren't ready to take on hundreds of thousands or millions of users. But we have a plan for that, and everybody is working towards that same function now. So all the resources in the community, right, that a lot of them were being used for Gala, and now Gala is very successful, are now being focused on Green and Connect, and the tools that we need to have working like at a higher level, at a better experience, that will let us share resources, share information, share comp plans, and the good news is that stuff's easy to make, because the good projects and the bad projects all have good systems, right? So it's hard to create a good product. It's easy to create the good systems, and they've spent all their time, money, and resources making a really good product. And now it's time for us to make a really good system and a really good platform. So when we share the product, it's easy to track your commissions. It's easy to track your dashboards. It's easy to track what's happening in your teams. And there's been a philosophy around here with Connect that like, hey, we don't want this to look like a network marketing company. So we don't want to, I'm like, no, everybody needs to see everything that's happening underneath them. They need to see all of it. That's the incentive to go do more work, is how much money we're losing on the team, right? And that was always the big incentive for me, is when the team grows fast, you want to keep up with the economics and the bonus structure so that you can fully maximize what your team is doing. That piece needs a lot of work right now. But the good news is we have the top engineer that helped launch, Aaron, help me. What's the name of the Young Living, right? Isn't that what Aaron worked on?
Yeah.
So Aaron helped build the back-end office for Young Living, one of the biggest companies in the world. Tom Karen just built the entire back-end for Q Sciences. Q Sciences is a network marketing company here in the United States that just did, I think, $100 to $200 million last year. It's just like a lightning rod. He just built their entire back-end system. So we have the expertise of people that have worked on this is what I'm talking about. The product works. Like Win as a blockchain works. Green as a blockchain works. The issues that a lot of you are experiencing are on the administration side, the systems and processes that a global company needs to have in place for you to do your job and your part. And we're building those. I believe we can have a much better working product in 60 to 90 days. as I get closer to being able to forecast an exact date, I'm going to share it with your leaders. I want to be able to publish a whole roadmap of things that you can start expecting and when you can start expecting. And I just need a little more time to do it because I want to, some things have been going, it's not been ideal for you for a while. And so I don't want my first thing that I project to fail. And I don't want to start off in this community this way. I want you and your teams to be able to rely on the dates and things like that we give you so that we can start fresh together.
Brilliant. One last thing, Jonathan. I don't know if you want to announce it already. The CTO you have acquired is also some very special individual. I mean, there's certain brands on the world, when you hear the brand, like, and you have, how have you done this? Or how, impressive.
He has there's a link I could probably post here. He's got a bio. Let me post his link here.
Guys, you won't believe it. It's the top of the world. But coming as CTO into green.
Well, yeah, let me see here. Hang on a second. I'll post it for you. Just 1 second.
I'm definitely sure this product is beating by far the income what you do. Of course, I know we need income to survive and to live, but the product will beat the income of the network by far. And I like some of our top leaders know this. They say the commission is the add-on, is the extra. And this is the very first time that in these 8 years while I was running through the jungle of networking and blockchain, that we found something what will beat as product the rest. And therefore, we need the right management, the right people, the right visionaries, the right hard workers. And when Jonathan posts here this link, you can be proud to have this icon of.
Yeah, so my team is really young. So I would say he's not like the Tom Brady. He's like he's like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson won the Super Bowl his second year in the league, right? We're doing different things. So I don't want to go hire the best people of the old systems, right? I don't want to hire the best CTO from capital markets. I wanted to hire the new young talent that's on the come up that has great potential that haven't been distorted by the capital markets, right? So when we look at talent in my recruiting pool and who I'm going after, those are the types of people I'm going after. I did the same thing at Lumio. So everybody was giving me resumes of the top chief operating officers in solar. But the problem is the top chief operating officers in solar were all taking 90 to 120 days to install solar. I went with a young guy who was in his mid-20s who had only been doing it for a year or two, and he was doing it in one state in like 25 days. And I said, hey, let's get together. How can we do this in more areas? And so by taking an up and coming leader who had proven himself on smaller projects and teaching him how to do it on bigger projects, we did something that no solar company has ever done. And we have the fastest installs now. See, the problem is some of the best people that have been doing it a long time, it's hard to teach them new ways, right? And so I do have some experts that have been doing things a while, but in building some of this team that's going, like, we're going to build code that doesn't exist yet, right? And so, so these guys, they were a package deal. They were working on a software company together for the last 2 years. Akil Talani is our CTO. He's on a flight right now. He lands late tomorrow night. So he's moving from India to here full time, but he has a team that he's worked with the last couple of years. So we're going to hit the ground running. We're not, when you hire people from scratch and they haven't worked together, it takes a while for people to sort of figure out how to work with each other. We're onboarding their whole team. Daryl Kemsley is going to be my business guy, like chief of staff and product. So he's working on the business side. Akil Tunani is on the ops side. Let me post a couple more things here. Hold on, since we're doing this. Give me just a couple more minutes, Aaron. This is
Didn't Akil be part of the Apple Music,
so
right?
So Akil built a plan called iMusic before Apple Music even existed. And he built the whole thing from scratch by himself between 11 and 14 years old. And it was like one of the top music apps on the App Store. And ultimately that ended up turning into Apple Music. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Okay. So Akil.
And this on the flight to USA right now.
Yeah. So that's green. So Akil is going to work inside of Nerds. So Nerds United is our development blockchain. And right now they have 115 of the most talented developers I've ever worked with. The CTO of Nerds, I tried to hire him at Lumio. I couldn't get him. And now we're working together here. This is Tom Karen. And let me show you, and then I'll put in Travis Cook.
Yes.
Because this team, and I would follow them on LinkedIn. I would follow, and that's so I'm putting in their LinkedIns here. And they'll be, when you see announcement on Nerds, it's going to be great. Also, that was DirectNet. Okay, hold on. We'll publish it to everybody. This is CEO Nerds. These guys they've had many exits. They're really well respected in the development community. They're the ones building. They're the ones doing the development on almost all of the projects. So they're like the spine, like the spinal cord and the nervous system of all our development projects. We have all the brands, Switch and Blue and all these things, they have development teams, but it's all of it's going through Nerds in a really organized way. Like if you had seen our meeting yesterday, Aaron, you're talking about every bug everywhere in the system is laid out in Jira, which is like the Cadillac of project management for developers. And they're aware of all of it. And the systems and processes that are put in place are every bit as good as what Microsoft or somebody would have in sort of their systems. These guys have built really, really big systems. They've only been here for 3 months, and they've spent the last 3 months hiring and building development teams for all the projects. Now, based on the things that we have been able to do in the last 30 days, Wright and Tom and Travis have redirected like 85% of all these resources to the goal. This is the goal. I'll post it in the chat.
Well, thank you very much. We get way more information I expected.
Yeah. So this is the goal. We need core to work, which is the core code of our product. We need connect to work and pay out all the commissions the correct way and onboard everything the right way. We need green to work, and we need to switch credit card to work. Those are, that's what everybody is working on. So all the resources in this community. And so Travis just posted something. So he wasn't even ready to share with his colleagues what he's been doing. Right? And yesterday he announced for the first time, Travis Cook announced for the first time what he's doing with Nerds. And he really honored me by tagging me in it. I don't actually work for Nerds, but I'm working in the same environment, and we have a plan and strategy together that we think is going to be really successful. So these 4 people, here I'll put one more. Hold on. I'll just put David on here.
Ladies
David
and
Ellis.
gentlemen, be so grateful that we have this moment now, because the next time we will have Mr. Jonatan here, it will last a few weeks, okay? So we have to work in between. And the fact that the system will go to the moon and above, for me, it's very clear, and I think for most of you as well. I see all the, we have 162 people here. We had on the peak 187. A few left after the first hour because they had another Zoom, I know. But we have almost 100% of people in the retention rate, let's say it this way.
So David Ellis is also my team. So I just hired him over the last couple of weeks. He's a good friend of mine. I posted his LinkedIn there for you. David Ellis is, he built some of the first esports stadiums in the world. He built the esports stadium for Microsoft in downtown Manhattan. He is currently building out a 250,000 square foot office space for Halo in Seattle. His strength is using, he's a Microsoft top 10 MVP. So Microsoft brought their top 10 partners to a Super Bowl party in February. David was one of those top 10 partners. Okay, and so he specializes in audio and video communication for the top 100 companies in America, and he's helping nerds build out a virtual development environment that's really cool. That's like a Ready Player One type of creator environment where we can attract more developers all over the world virtually. That's probably going to be a year away, right? Like, that's not like these are long things that take time. But he's going to be a shared resource for green and nerds. He's all in. I mean, he's on a family vacation right now, and he's on Zooms with me by the pool every day because he got, he's just all these guys are all in. They have burned their bridges. They are all in. This is what they want to do with their life. My green team has purposely not change their LinkedIn profiles because we want to make announcements on it, right? So like we want to make these formal announcements. These are big announcements. These are top executives that we want to. That's why I don't want you guys posting this stuff on YouTube and stuff, because I want to make these official announcements when we're ready in a way that can help create momentum in your businesses, right? And so if you can trust me to work my process, I've done this before. I know. Like no one had heard of Lumio, and everybody knows about Lumio here in the United States and even a lot of other countries, because we were really thoughtful and not just announcing everything at one time. We had an announcement like every single week for a year. So these are the teams and the people that are working on this project. They're not kids in a basement, right? They're not like, it's crazy. Like I'll tell you Tom's budget right now. This is crazy. Right? Like on nerds right now, we're spending over like $2 million a month on development. Right? It's like, there's not a lot of projects spending this kind of money to build their stuff. Again, this is a leadership conversation. This is not for you guys to go put up on your Facebook page or put up on your YouTube. And so if we can start establishing trust, and I do this call with you, and I don't see a bunch of misinformation spread in the next week, we can keep doing these calls. I can keep giving you these information. And you won't be left in the dark. The reason why we're not just publishing on Discord is we're not ready for the whole world to know what we're doing, right? That's not how you get an advantage. It's like, I've worked big business for a long time, and this is kind of last thing, and I'll hand it back to you, Aaron. But like, sometimes you'll work with someone and they'll say, I'm going to sue you. And I go, okay. The people that actually sue you, they never tell you they're going to sue you, right? Because you have just given away your right. The people that actually know how it works, you just file it and then you surprise somebody, and now you have the advantage because you have prepared for months or years. You don't go telling the whole world what you're going to do if you know you're going to do it. The companies that are telling the whole world, hey, here's what we're going to do, they'll probably never do it. They're just trying to get the value out of the promise versus deliver on it, right? We're not trying to do that. We're trying to tell the world, hey, this is what we completed last month. This is what we completed last month. And that's gonna be a better for the regulators, and it's gonna be better business strategy because we'll get an advantage that way.
Okay. Jonathan,
yeah, we're gonna have more media. We're gonna have more content for Connect. I see some questions coming in really quickly. We are going. It's not about the social media Connect thing. We're going to give you guys content that you can share in the next 90 days. We'll put together a string of content that you can share on YouTube, on TikTok, on other things. It'll be great. It's just not ready right now, right? I'm literally 4 weeks old, and we're getting a lot done. I'm doing the things that need to be done in the order that they need to be done in, right? So I spent the last 4 weeks scoping out all the technical problems, and we have identified every single bug in the system and every single line of broken code. That's what I needed to do first. So now they can go to work on that, and that's going to take months to fix. And now I can have time to work on media and press and events and things like that. But I needed to get the developers going first, otherwise we'd never get it done, right? All right, Aaron,
okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Great, great, great. And guys, to all of you, please, all the information we got from Mr. Jonathan now, these links, they are strictly to keep private. We will follow, we checking our lines, we checking our social media. If this is destroying all of us, then we have to act hard. We as team, okay? Be smart, use it for your own motivation. This is more worth than gold and silver. This is the future. I think what we will have in near future, entering in our everyday coin minting, the green coin and the switch and the nerd, this will blast to the universe. It will overtake our expectation. I'm very sure about this. And the product will beat the income of the network. As you heard, they will find out all the bugs, all the mistakes, what happened. So it will be reversed. It will be ready sooner or later. But the important thing is the software minting is working. The team behind is world-class. I mean, these are people who can work in Apple, in Tesla, in Microsoft. We have them here. This is no MLM company has this. If an MLM company comes with some project, they have someone who was 10 years before kicked out from Microsoft maybe. Okay, we have the real people from the ground, and they will create this universe. And this is, as Mr. Jonathan said, same as 25, 30 years ago, the cell phone came, the data transfer. We are here. We are in the beginning of something world-changing. Okay, this is it from my side. Please treat this information carefully, with respect. Don't think, if I public it, I will have more people joining me. We will find out if you do it. And if you do it, you will not have our support. That's very easy. I will not public it. I can call my friends, and I will call my friends. I will call new, fresh blood and tell them this, okay? Yes, I will do. But I don't put it on my Facebook or on my social media. I don't do it. I don't put it in the Telegram. We follow this plan because Mr. Jonathan, when they come with, do you want to be responsible that Forbes is not publishing the article of Mr. Jonathan Gibs because of your link shocked Forbes? I don't think so. If you want the Forbes article, okay, no public. This what you have here is the munition, is the bullets forever. You will win. We will win this race, guys. So have a good evening. Next week we will do our team calls. We invite you to invite new people. We invite you to bring new people on board, fresh blood. The older people, let's say those who are a little bit disappointed, still, they will come. They will see. Go and attack new, fresh people into this ecosystem of green, switch, and nerd. and connect. Thank you, and all the very best. See you next week.